Hello. I think we're live. Wait. Waiting for Lawrence. Is it waiting for me or is it live? It's really unclear. Let me refresh the page. Sometimes that fixes it. I'm in my office today. There is a mess in the studio, and I am not about to clean that mess up. That's why I'm in here. It's just there's too many projects in there, and I said, why not be in here? And I'm actually going to share. I think I could share with you. I don't know what's going on in the studio, but we're live. That's what's going on outside the building. Which one was it? For instant. There we go. That's usually where I sit. I'm not sitting there right now because that's a big 45 drive server sitting there. So there's a few projects, and yes, this is the new G3 instant camera. So that's a thing too. So let's go ahead and say hello to everybody. Let's see. I'm live. All right, everyone's agreeing. I am live. Yes, we have an effing doorbell in there too. So let's go through the devices. You gotta have we'll zoom it in for those. There's our F&G doorbell man. By the way, you can name these emojis. So in case you didn't know. So for those of you that can't see the emojis. That's easier to do in my office. I'm working on better videos and really making them so I can do things like this and zoom in and all that fun stuff. But we have a few things I want to talk about today. So audio sync is off. I'm not sure what to do about that. Because I can try adjusting on the fly. Let's check about the audio sync being off. Let's figure that out real quick together. Where can that be? There is an advanced audio option this came with an update putting the audio sync off. Properties. That's working. Filters. Where is the advanced option? I'm looking for the advanced audio option in case you're wondering. Here, you guys can actually watch what I'm doing. Where? It's not in there. There's an option in here that lets you change. An update came and feature went away. Or broke. Or is it over here? Transition, grid, order, full screen. Is it here? That's just properties. There's an advanced one that lets you control how many milliseconds of delay. Or maybe there's not now, and that's actually what's missing since that broke. Oh, you know what? It's over here. Advanced audio properties. And it's still got the delay in there because I had to set a sync offset of 30 to make that work. So, still there. It just isn't. Yeah, that's still advanced audio properties, 30 millisecond offset. There is a 30 millisecond offset. I don't know why it's worse. I guess I need to know if I need to make the sync offset bigger. It's good now. Don't change it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. All right. It's under mic advanced settings. All right. Woohoo! It's just YouTube. Fair enough. All right. Sync is fine here. Just barely off. All right. I will not break it if it's working. I'll leave it like it is. I can make myself bigger. I can make myself smaller too, and it'd be less noticeable. There are options here. I got my T. Don't worry, I won't sit my T too loud. I'm someone who goes crazy with mouth noises too. But all right, blame it on YouTube. Now that we have a few people here, now that I've gathered you here, so what was I going to talk about? I have been working on a video for a few things. Graylog is one of those few things. I'm going to move your chat over to here so I can read it. Graylog being among those few things. So the discussion of logs comes up constantly, and people ask for, what's a good logging server? And it's been difficult to find one that I don't dislike. It is actually funny to learn some very large companies are just using our syslog and built their homegrown log servers. And that's what I was doing for a while too, until I found Graylog, but I kind of get why, because there's always like a little pain and work and effort that has to go in there to the point where it kind of drives you crazy for the logging server. So I'm working on a video for Graylog. I was going to do the video, and then things happened and I didn't get it done today, but I'll probably do it tomorrow. But I do have it stood up. And where's it at? 3.200. And someone can point out that it's HTTP. That's because it's a demo. This is not production. So yes, you're absolutely correct. It's HTTP. Not covering that part. Now, Graylog is easy to set up. The Graylog, like David pointed out, you could do it in Docker. And actually, it's probably a good place to start. What is Graylog and where can we get it set up? So swing over to some Graylog documentation. This is something, I have this pulled up because of I was debating whether I need to do a graphic to try and explain Graylog and how it actually parses things, because this isn't got the hiccups. This is kind of an important feature of how it handles it. So let's go. Logs are not always transmitted in encrypted form because some logging systems have no support for sending things in encrypted form. So it's not a matter of whether or not the logs are. It depends on what log type you're using. Now, Graylog itself, for logging, supports quite a few different ones. You can use AWS CloudTrail, Flow Logs, Kinesis, AWS Logs, Beats, a few different varieties of the CEF, the GELF versions, like, Guelph Kafka, Guelph TCP, IPFix, JSON, path from HTTPI, raw plain text, or good old-fashioned syslog UDP, which is kind of the normal for most things. Yeah, syslogs are not. So, oh, I see Eric's in here. He likes the mugs. Anyways, but yeah, can syslogs be encrypted? I believe you can do secure TCP over it. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, you have to create a certificates file. It's tricky. Generally speaking, most of your logs will be on a private network. That way they can't be viewed. So, yes. Syslog over SSH reliable? Actually, yeah. You could build a... this isn't over SSH. This is over Stunnel. Well, at least what this write-up is suggesting is over Stunnel. You could actually do a persistent SSH that automatically reconnects. That's one way to do it, and just build an SSH tunnel. So, yeah, but for the most part, if you're doing it on the same local network, if you have a private network for your servers to talk on, just send them over it. And it doesn't really matter if they're encrypted, because they're logs. They are definitely metadata about everything. I'm not saying they should just be plainly visible, but yeah, it's kind of outside of the scope of what I'm going to talk about anyways. I mean, I agree, everything should be encrypted. And SSH is a good way to do it, but we're not going to dwell on that too long. That's a side quest. Let's talk about Graylog. Actually, we'll go to Graylog's main site first. So we'll start here at Graylog, the industry leader, serving see everything for anything, see demo. Now, cool things is they do have an OVA you can just download. And as David pointed out, they have a Docker image. So you don't really have to do much technical stuff to get going with it. Now, it is using Elastic along with a few other things. It's pretty clever the way they put this all together. And what I like about it compared to other solutions, was it just was easier to handle on the front end. I thought it had a better front end for viewing it than ElkStack. Someone's going to be angry at that because ElkStack is like the general go-to for Reddit, our home lab. Everyone has to show off their version of how they installed ElkStack and Grafana and tied them all together. I think Graylog's kind of the one-stop shop easy solution that I liked quite a bit. Now, as far as installing Graylog, oh, by the way, it's open source. Anyone wondering, open source and get Graylog open. Here's the Linux install, OVA, or hardcore mode. Just give me some files. You can just download it. They have a deb package. I followed the one with the deb package to set this up. So we'll go here. I follow the Debian installation. It steps you through everything. Their setup is really straightforward. So the setup was no problem. Went through, their instructions work. I don't think I ran into any hiccups. I've set up a couple of them now. I don't think I'm going to cover this in my demo because I found it rather easy. They do have some packages with apt you can install. You can get the OVA to get started. I don't think this is the part that needs the tutorial as much as figuring out the back end. Now the back end, yeah, that's got a little bit to it. Any logging system, and this is why the logging systems are so hard. Well, logging systems are difficult. There's a lot to logging systems. And I have a pfSense set up. Specifically, I have pfSense 2.5 set up. There we go. So this is going to be one of our input sources here, is my lab pfSense. So you go here to settings, and 192.168.3.200, 15.14. That's the Graylog server and the port I defined. So when you're setting up Graylog, you actually have to start with defining an input. So we'll just show you what it looks like. I already have one defined. We'll define another one for fun in here. So we go syslog UDP, whoops, launch, and then we create an input. And then you fill out the parameters and you give it a port number, and away you go. Give it a port number higher than 1024 because Graylog runs as its own service. That way you don't have to worry about any, permissions to launch on lower port numbers. But this one right here, let's go ahead and edit it. So if we edit this input, it's called pfSense. It's bound to any address. It's on port 1514 and pretty straightforward. So this is an input. We also have one set up for UniFi. And a UniFi, let's log into that too. Go to the network. This is also our lab UniFi. And there we have that. So 192.168.3.200. And we have that one on 1515. So if we go over here to Graylog, we go to edit input, 1515. So those are the two different inputs. Then you have to send the data somewhere. By default, it will go into the all index and basically grab everything and put it somewhere. What we wanted to do is create different indexes. So this is the default index where everything ends up. And here is one for UniFi, and here's one for pfSense. So creating indexes is easy. You hit create and create them. We've already created two of them. We'll create a third one in this before this video is over. So let's go over and look at the streams. Now the streams are where we start second. This is why I want to flowchart this out probably for my video. The data comes in and hits the inputs you define. Then you want to take the data and take it over to a stream. And the stream streams it, and we'll go and edit this particular stream. The stream says route pfSense to proper index. The index we want to route it to is pfSense. And then you create a rule that creates a rule that sends it over to there. And these are the things I'm going to cover in a video. What I'm kind of asking the audience here, because some of you like my videos, is probably why you're here, are some of the other things I should cover when I actually do this detailed out as a demo. But, so now we have, actually, let me put myself down towards the bottom, because I don't make sure I don't cover, I don't know, well, put me down here. I don't think I cover anything up if I do that. Can you build a Graylog server while the stream's going? Well, I usually stream for almost 2 hours, so I hope so. It's definitely something you can do. So the stream sends it to the proper index. Then we can start searching and seeing all the data that's coming in here. And look at all the fun data. Now, something I didn't cover, and this is the part that gets tricky because I'm terrible at regex, I'm not afraid to admit it, is actually in the inputs, you have to build extractors to take unformatted data and format it. If you don't format the data, yes, you can search it as text strings. Formatted data is way better for anyone who's ever had to do any type of log parsing. You could build a Windows machine, yeah. So, nonetheless, this is the part that I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time. So these are what the extractors, you can edit the extractors, and they're using regex to parse these logs and lay them all out into different fields and organize it. So yes, this is logging. Zabbix is monitoring, this is logging. This is where does all that data go? That's what's important here. So this is what this is going to be for, is just all the, yeah. So the good news is I'm going to be posting over on, whoops. I will be posting all my finished extractors as part of the video. They're already there if you want them. Just go to the github.com/lawrencesystems/graylog_extractors, and I will be putting any extractors as I get them written, I'm going to be putting here. Plus, I'm going to try to find out, and if any of you know how to write Graylog extractors, I'm willing to pay money, and I may hire someone to write better extractors. That's on my to-do list, and that way I don't mind doing some of the unparsed data because it's cool, I'm saving it, but yes, I will probably go a step further and get some of these written, but then anything that gets written, I don't mind hiring someone to do this. I'll be posting all on my GitHub. So that just so for people curious about the whole flow of things, that's how that's going to go. Anyways, so we got this sending data, this parsing data, and then we can go back over to where's all the data? Let's find stuff in here. And this is actually what it looks like. So you want to look at some of the data and pull things out of it. Matter of fact, let's do this. I have my phone connected to it. There's templates on the Graylog site, but the templates don't. Well, let's actually pull this up real quick. If we go to there are some things, like here's a UniFi one. The big problem is some of them aren't written well, and they're written for old versions. So like this is 4 years ago. And so there's some issues with some of these too. Oh, the GitHub link, you know what? I bet the GitHub link on this one is broken, isn't it? Where's my, I gotta fix the GitHub. Yeah, so it's really weird. The search and replace wouldn't search and replace these. All right, it's fixed on this particular live stream now. I can actually fix that while the live stream's going. So that's fixed. All right, moving on. So that's fixed. And for anyone that wants it, if you look Lawrence Systems, Lawrence System GitHub, you'll find it. So it's been indexed. Oh, and it looks like some people forked it. So so anyways. Oh, and look, someone pointed out, yes, I've been fixing it all over the place. I changed it to this, and there's a lot of reference to GitHub. All right, back to the topic at hand. Yes, in the Graylog marketplace, there are people who wrote extractors, but they're not all done well, and some of them just don't work. The problem is they were written a while ago, and so as things have changed, the there are problems. So that's the best way I can say it. There's some of them don't work. So you might have to tinker with them, which is why I am making ones that work. And as I make ones that work, then I will go ahead and put them on my GitHub. I don't mind hiring someone to do it. So if any of you know how to do it, awesome. If not, I'm going to reach out through some forums and say who wants to write extractors. And, you know, I'm going to actually probably reach out to Greylog directly and see who they recommend. If, you know, they probably know someone who knows how to do it. But once you have that, you can start taking this. Now, this is what the formatted data looks like. There's what a full message looks like unformatted, but then this is the formatted where we can actually look for things like source IP address. Matter of fact, what we're going to do is we're going to connect my phone to the lab network, which is this. Make sure it's on there. Yes, it is. So my phone, if we look over here, services, DHCP server. Actually, I got to look at the leases. There's Tom's phone. So we can just go last hour. Hey, look, there we go. There's Tom's phone. Now, what's kind of cool is I have UniFi in here too. So we can actually pull up UniFi. Hey, look, it's now the UniFi I don't have an extractor for, so it's all just full message data. But hey, look, there's my phone. There's the MAC address of my phone, the event. Matter of fact, we can go further back if we want and say in the last 8 hours, because I was playing with this morning. And there's all the assignments of my phone and the MAC address that's assigned there. Now, the other thing we can do is like I can disconnect my phone. So we'll turn off my Wi-Fi for a second, and it should get a disconnect. Actually, we're going to disconnect. We're going to do it by MAC address now. And there it went. Now it's inactive. So I turn that button there is auto update. So it's auto updating, and I'm gonna turn the Wi-Fi back onto my phone. Hey, look, my phone reconnected. Now you're seeing that. It's kind of nice when you have all of these things in there. Now, my phone also had to request an address. So if we actually go back to all messages and update this, actually we could filter for like PF cents. You can see here's the requests on the PF cents side. So I can jump back and forth between them, but this is the advantage, of course, and why everyone wants a nice logging server to be able to put everything in one spot. That way, all of your logging data, all the correlation data is in one spot. So if you know the MAC address of a device, you can check the logs against PF cents. I'm going to check the logs against UniFi. I'll update it. And now, as it goes back and forth, I can go through each device and understand it. So yeah, Greylog has been pretty nice. What's the goal with this, says someone. The goal with this is just a logging server, making sure that everything is, yeah, just everything that you can log and where to send all those logs. And while we're at it, let's send more logs to it. Let's see. Splunk intake is approximately 1 terabyte. Oh, okay. I'm just following up on all the questions. How do you monitor RAID arrays for customers? There's a variety of ways. A lot of times you just set them to send emails. That's one of the easiest ways to monitor them. Send them to send emails to us in case there's a problem. So let's look over at Zen Orchestra. That's where Zen creates all kinds of storage logs. So let's build a Zen Log Server here. I thought that'd be kind of a fun one to do. So let's go over here to Zen and close too many things open. All right, here we go. So we'll go to System and Indexes, create new index. YouTube live demo. All right. We're going to rotate by time. We're only going to keep I will say 3 days worth of logs in here. I don't want to fill it up because I'll forget about it and then it'll fill up. And I didn't assign enough drive space to actually 2 days is good. I didn't assign enough drive space to do this. So there we go. There's our XCPNG YouTube live demo. I've got a spot to land the data. Then we're going to need an input. So let's go ahead and we'll use syslog UDP. Launch new input. XCPNG live demo seems like a good name for this one too. 1516. Whoops. 1516. Yeah, Graylog does have the ability to, well, you clean up the database based on the index. So you set the time for each index. Oh yeah. Yes, someone pointed out, William Daughtery, you're right. You can do pew pew maps. And I know that makes some people really happy. I'm not getting that advanced in today or probably in my video, but yeah, that's a future thing where we talk about pew pew maps. So here's the XCPNG live demo. We're going to go ahead and save it. So now we've created a input for the live demo. But before we start inputting data, which you can see there's no data coming into it right now because I haven't set it up on the other side, we need to create the stream rule. And now the stream rule is this right here, is I need to take and filter for source. So we're going to go ahead and create a stream rule. I'll be doing this in a more in-depth video for those wondering. So this is me having fun. So XCPNG, what's going to be routed to this? XCP-NG data. And I don't want them in the all stream, so we'll hit save. Then we got to create a rule. Add stream rule. And its stream rule is GL2 source input, just like it says here, GL2 source input. Value matches this. Save. Done. Start stream. So now it's going to come into the input. The stream rule is going to send it to the proper destination. Which now there we go. I knew I did something wrong. I got ahead of myself. I had to properly select the index. All right, proper index is selected. Someone's going to be pointing it out while I'm going over here doing it because, you know, delay. Now we're going to go over here to the host. To the yeah, this one. One 192.168.3.200:1516. Let me verify that that's correct. Hold on. Yep, 1516. All right, that's where it's sending it. So now, hey, look, it's receiving messages. Look at that. So now we can go here to search, XCPNG, and real-time updates. Now here's where it gets kind of cool again. So the XCPNG is going to be able to do things like start VMs. So let's find a VM that's on here, like Windows. Now here is the UUID for this particular Windows 10 Lab VM. We hit start. And if we go back over to Graylog, you'll see it's running. Well, there's a lot of things running. So let's go ahead and filter for this. We'll just filter for the UUID. And now we can filter for everything related to that VM and what's going on with it. So there's all this stuff. Now, XCPNG creates a lot of log data, which is great for debugging, bad for storage, but as long as you have a lot of storage, it works well. So that's in a nutshell what you can do with it, and it's still, you know, updating away with all the logs, each little VM event. Now, once again, it's not parsing this data. An extractor needs to come up so it actually parses the data better. But yeah, it's been pretty cool, but this is one of the challenges is there's a lot of complexity with this. So the video is going to be a little bit long. Graylog's better than bad, it's good. Yes, just like log. It is a It is a lot, that's for sure. Now, it does have the ability to build out dashboards, as someone pointed out. We don't have a Pew Pew dashboard. We can do a source dashboard for where sources of data came from and start filtering it and parsing it. I've not built any coherent dashboards in here at all, for anyone wondering. But they can be built by time sets and everything else. Go back over here. Actually, we go to the disk of this. It has we can actually, for example, this is a Synology NFS. We wanted to filter for everything going on in the back-end volume with this right here. It's another thing that you can do is go through and find anything that might be a problem with it. What's a Pew Pew dashboard? Oh, I thought it was... a real-time... Oh. They have one? Okay, cool. Here we go. This is Pew Pew maps. These always are, they look fun. These are so you can watch where all the things are going. Can you set a pool-wide syslog in Zen Orchestra? I think you set it per host, not per pool. But let me look. Oh, yeah. You can set, yes, you can. So you can set it on a remote syslog server on a per pool. So, David, the answer is yes. That does work. So you can specify edit all logging host, and yep, that does the trick. So if I add any more hosts to this, they're all going to get to there. Matter of fact, my guess is, even though I added it per host, that if I added it all, it probably automatically does this. So because even though I added it here, it showed up in the pool. My guess is if I add it to one, it automatically adds it to all of them. Yes, FireEye Threat Cyber Map. So these are the Pew Pew maps, and if you're in cybersecurity, if you're ever having to do presentations to the management people, if you have something in the background that does this, the management people go, hey, that's that. Look at all those attacks. The bad people are pew pewing at each other. So eye candy for management. Honestly, when you're doing any type of logging, this is more the actionable intelligence type thing that I'm looking for. It's not the dashboards. I mean, now, don't get me wrong. Creating certain trending and things like that in dashboards can help you find anomalies and narrow things down. But you generally end up with looking through logs like this, because this is where you're going to find the actionable intelligence that you're looking for to try to solve an actual problem. Like I brought up with my phone earlier, looking through the UniFi logs, tracing where my phone was or what the DHCP offer was. And this can be a perfect example of solving a networking problem of the DHCP problem with UniFi. If you've seen the DHCP offer sent by the firewall, but at the same time, you see the MAC address connecting in UniFi, but not passing over certain pieces of information, this is one of the ways you could troubleshoot it. You send both of them the gray log, you make sure the timestamps are right. That's really important, by the way, that everything has the same timestamp on it, because if not, you end up with your own confusion. And then you can do some correlation to try and figure out what device is working, which one's not, and what's connecting. So yeah, it's a lot to deal with, but it's been kind of fun. But it's I'll be working on a video on this to walk people through this to get you know how to set up on here, because you can just send all of your logging data from all of your things to one location. And then it's just up to you to keep buying storage to store all the logs. I do not run my own NTP servers for that. I feel as though that's unnecessary. I don't feel as though that the time servers on the internet and going out to the internet for time servers is all that bad. That being said, I actually do provide time servers as part of my DHCP process that way they can send out and receive their time data. So I don't think it's really too big of a problem. Yeah, DHCP problems are definitely a UniFi thing that you spend time. That's why I bring it up. That's probably one of those popular use cases is DHCP for that. Now, this also will log all of your Errata events. I don't know that I'll cover that in the video, but you can take Errata, load it, and configure Errata to push things over to Syslog. I have that set up in our server. Let me pull up one of our production things. I gotta log into it first, off screen. Because I'm gonna go specifically to where it's at. I'll show you guys the rules. Where's that setting at? Here you go. This is a production pfSense. You go to the Eve. This is inside of the Errata, and you'll go to each interface and enable JSON log file. Syslog is the output. This will send all the traffic over to Syslog, and then once it's in Syslog, you can push it back out where you want it to go. So that's how you can actually push other things such as Errata into Graylog via pfSense. There is an NTP option in here. I don't think it's on by, I guess it is on by default. Okay, yeah. So yes, you can set up this to be NTP. I think I might have this as in my NTP server now that I think about it. I probably do. I'll have to look at that. Let me log into my production. I might even have that in there. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I do have it turned on mine. I forgot. It's hard. It's set in my DHCP. So my DHCP, it's been handing it out for so many years I'd forgotten, but you're right, it does. The default DHCP option is a pfSense, yes. pfSense can have any DHCP option that makes you happy. I bring that up because services, DHCP server, they have all these options and then more. If you want to add any additional options, you can just put the text or option number in here. So if any of these don't satisfy the thing you're looking for, just add one. So yes. Where was the security webpage? I'll throw a link in it. Just a FireEye. I think that's what you're asking. So, yeah, pretty grass to church. All right, cool. You push out the DHCP option for UniFi. I do not. We have found it not to, I don't know. I found it a little bit, me and Eric played with it a while ago. The other cheater way to do it, by default, the set inform looks for HTTP UniFi. If you just create a DNS entry to HTTP UniFi to be your address of your server, it just works without having the DHCP option. So that's another way around it. I might do a video on that because there's easy ways to make that work, especially because that option, a lot of times with our corporate clients, there's not a, you don't have a pfSense for your DHCP. You have the Windows server because it's usually on an Active Directory. So you use it the other way. Do you get alerts of critical events and logs? Yes, there is an entire alert system for alerts and events. So it has, Graylog does have the ability to do event details, conditions, fields, notifications, where you can have different notifications for different events, etc. So yes, there is the way to do that. Yes, you do need to put domain names in with pfSense. Like I said, it might be something I do a video on, because just doing DNS in pfSense, because people ask this question a lot, is they look at things like, this is our production Zen Orchestra system, and this and many other things all use reverse proxies, and you notice there's no certificate error. We've got a signed certificate, and this seems to create a lot of confusion for people, especially because they also think this is public, and it's not. So this whole thing is done. So here's dig Zen Orchestra.Lawrence system. Looks like a public domain, but it's not. I have a video I talk about this, but it is the part that people get hung up on quite a bit, is how you can have private IP addresses for what looks like public names. It's not that hard to do, and maybe I need a dedicated DNS video on pfSense to clarify how all of that works. It is tricky, there's no doubt. So split DNS is a thing. Yes. Yeah, split DNS causes issues. So It makes your life fun. It makes it easier though, because I don't want to. Is it worth it to use a transparent pfSense firewall in front of my existing? I wouldn't say so. I always get rid of the USGs. My answer is always get rid of the USG. So I thought about doing a video about it, but it seems like the most pointless thing. The only reason people really want to do it is because they don't want to get rid of their UniFi, because they feel, one, they spent money on it, I get it, and two, they like the fact that it has a dashboard that has pretty graphs in it. I don't know. So it's not something I would ever do. So I'm like, I know it's like requested a lot, but I don't know if I really want to do a video on it. pfSense uses DNS resolver. So this is the default native one inside of here. Yeah, the DNS resolver is the default one, and you can build out all your DNS inside of there like that. What was my phone's IP address? Services, DHCP server. PF top. Where's my phone going? My phone makes a lot of connections. Let's open up my phone and open up Facebook. See how many more connections it opens up. A lot more. Hey, one Facebook opening now. There we go. It's awake. So there you go. Anyways, I've done a video on using PF top for things. It's crazy how many places your phone goes. I mean, this is one phone. Matter of fact, if I open up Twitter, people were tweeting him earlier. Let's open up Twitter. How many more connections does this phone have? Actually, we just got to stop limiting. We're just going to say all. There we go. There's all the connections. Fun stuff. track your kids. Yeah, it's a lot trying to track things inside of pfSense. This is something people ask about, and this is the challenge. Look how many sites just a phone connects to, and I didn't even open but 2 things. Think about how many things people usually have open. It's a lot of connections in here. And we go back over to Graylog and, you know, search for my IP address. Anything that was, we don't have all the filter logging turned on in pfSense. Let's go over here to firewall rules and probably a LAN. There we go. Let's log this. So log all packets handled by that rule. That's going to be fun. Apply. Matter of fact, we can filter. So let's go to wait for it to send some data. I think I can filter off that. Actually, that should be under tracker. I got to build some new sessions. So let me disconnect and reconnect my phone. It'll build some new state tables, new sessions. Actually, I'll tell my phone to update. I think it's got some updates. Checking for updates. Update all. Huh. Not seeing anything new. Do I got to filter specifically for pfSense? Must not be parsing it properly. What was my phone's IP address? No, you cannot share DHCP leases between pfSense. That doesn't work. Not that I know of. Maybe someone has some way to do it, but I don't think so. So that's, yeah, I don't think you can share the DHCP. Each pfSense has its own DHCP server, not each one. Not shared like that, so. Services. There's the tracker. Add to query. Oh, it's capital T. There we go. I had a wrong tracker field. Now we can track in real time all the connections being made. Look at all that data. How will they enforce it being free for pfSense Plus? I don't know, and I don't know if they know. You know, for example, Untangle offers like their home edition for firewalls. There's no real enforcement. They sell it, and they're aware that people are not following the license. That's as simple as it is. Like, it's not truly enforceable. It's not like they can tell if it's a home lab or somebody using it. They know, and they just kind of roll with it. That's how they work at Untangle. I'm sure the same thing will happen at pfSense with pfSense Plus. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, well, now DHCP servers and pfSense running in HA mode do share, but they're not exactly sharing. They're just keeping up with each other. So when you have and I have a couple HA videos, when you have 2 pfSenses in HA mode, you have to have the DHCP table on both of them. That way, when the other one takes over, it doesn't go, I'm going to hand everybody new leases. And if it didn't have awareness of the existing leases, you would end up with a bunch of, IP collisions. So it's not that it shares it. It's just a matter of the CARP HA having to sync everything. It's not just that. Any rule change on the head end, whichever one is the primary, all the secondary pfSense will always have all the settings in it. It's getting each setting you change, firewall rules and everything, moved over like that. So that's, you know, really important in terms of that feature has to work. Do you use a Netgate appliance servers much? Yes, all the time. I've reviewed them. Matter of fact, if you go to my YouTube channel, type in Netgate. Hey, look, 2100, 7100, 3100, 5100, 1100, 1100, because I did follow-up reviews, project videos with them as well. So yeah, I've reviewed them. They work. Yeah, I don't know. I get it asking about the SG3100 with a SFP. But honestly, you can pick up a cheap switch that has SFP and hand it back off the other way. I don't think it's a big deal. Oh, look, someone's asking about MikroTik. You go to my website, I have my opinion on MikroTik. They are inexpensive. They're hard. They're difficult, but they work. So I have a video on using MikroTik Switch OS. I think the Switch OS is not bad. That's about it. So MikroTik's okay if you're using the Switch OS. SG2100 and LTE, I guess if it makes you happy. I don't know. I've never tried that combination. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, that other thing I have here. Let me log into it. Because, you know, there's lots of things here. This is what's actually sitting in my sitting in the other room right now. It's not ready for a review, but we're getting there. Houston Command Center. This is, I've done a video on this before. This is the cockpit project. Hey, look, 382 usable terabytes. This is the, we'll SSH into it too. Actually, let's do this. This is the 45 drive server. It's got 30 hard drives in it. There. So you can see how they're all connected. Look at that. Look at all them drives. Pretty cool. Oh, did I don't know if I installed this. Is NeoFetch in Yum? I don't use Yum enough. Nothing to do. Oh, NeoFetch isn't in there. Anyways, it runs CentOS. It's not going to be for the demo. It's right now what I'm playing with it on CentOS. This will be, when I do the video, it'll be running Ubuntu. I have not tried setting up iSCSI in Cockpit. So that's not something I've tested with. Honestly, I don't know if Cockpit even supports iSCSI. Does it? I'm not sure. I've used Cockpit very little. I did a video on it a while ago. When did I do that Cockpit video? I thought it was a cool project, but in 2 years, it doesn't look much different. So, oh, cool. I found a Samba. Where did I find that at? Let me see if I got another tab. I found actually a couple things that are interesting, but one of them is somewhere. I haven't tried this. This is over at the Samba Wiki, but they have a cockpit Samba for hooking it up too. I don't have it loaded on here, but that'll be something else I might play with. So I thought that was kind of cool. But you can set up Samba with this, with ADDC setup. I thought that was kind of neat. But I like Cockpit. It's just a matter of it doesn't seem to have widespread adoption. But I'm hoping 45 drives will change that, and some more interest will be generated in the project. So I'm excited about it. I think it will. It's got a nice interface. I like the way it works. You know, it's fancy. I like this way you can go through drives and see everything, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot I like about it, but it needs some more development work. It needs some more plugins. It's not as full featured, I think, as it could be. But I think it gets a lot of people started with a lot of the basics in Linux. Hey, awesome, James. You're using Invoice Ninja. Good to hear. Cockpit for Ubuntu server? Yeah. Webmin is certainly more features. There's a lot of bugs in Webmin, and I don't know. Webmin's website went down for a while. It didn't. I don't know. There's something about it. I thought it was Webmin. Is it webmin.com? I thought it was a .org. There it is. Webmin's been around for a long time, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to get the love anymore. It's been so long since I've really looked at it. Oh yeah, they're keeping it up to date. So that's December of 2020. So yeah. The other problem I had, see, there's a fundamental difference with Webmin versus way Cockpit works. So the Cockpit project, where's the thing? They had it in a write-up. This right here. You can jump between terminal and the web interface anytime. There's even an embedded version of Cockpit. Keep the command line. This is what's really important in the way they designed Cockpit. Cockpit does not try to build its own configs. Cockpit has no config files, essentially. The way Cockpit works is it's reading the existing config files and changes right back to the existing config files without any weirdness to it. So if you edit a config file yourself from the command line or inside a Cockpit, it has no problems. And that was part of the reason it was designed this way. And it's really important to design something so those who work on it from the command line can do their thing and hand it off to someone who wants to look at it from a web interface, and they don't have to worry about, oh, I didn't put the special formatting Cockpit needs to understand the files. This is one of the things that is really important from the design standpoint. This is also interesting too. Cockpit only uses memory when active. It actually runs as a socket. So because it runs as a WebSocket, it doesn't do anything in the background. So let's go right here. Where's the Cockpit window? Too many windows. There we go. So we go over here to the dashboard. So we're looking at the dashboard here. As you can tell, I haven't done much this year. I don't have an H-top on here. So actually, what is the filter? Is it F4? right, there's Cockpit running. And if we close the window, which you can see it's barely using anything right here. I believe the memory should just drop to 0 after it realizes all the connections are gone. It's very, very light. So it goes down to like nothing when it's running in the background and just waiting for ports to listen. No CPU usage there. It's all dying. There we go. And as soon as we open Cockpit back up, so actually we can then go reopen close tab, it spins up on an as needed basis. Side by side here, make it easier. So we'll go here, make it a little wider, come on. And as soon as we log in, the processes start back up. It's very lightweight, so it doesn't do much in the background. It doesn't really do too much. Where's the new 140 terabyte server? This is a 420 terabyte server. So I don't know which motherboard you should use for building. We never really build them off new motherboards. So whatever motherboard you can get a deal on is the one you should build it with. For building PF senses. So yes, this is not Apache Tomcat and the disaster that is Apache Tomcat. So we close and we watch all the processes go away. And in a few seconds, they'll all just die off from closing the window. But it's pretty, the Cockpit project's pretty cool. I like it. I just maybe, yeah. Do some speed tests. So this is the one with all the drives. And let's go ahead and do a speed test. So where's it mounted at? So, it's called all the drives. I think I have something here. Test data. Let's do these tests here. If you're not familiar, FIO is a benchmarking utility. And let's make the files bigger. So we'll go, actually, why is it not finding it? What am I doing wrong? Yep. Hey, good. Someone's faster at it than me. I did it. So %s 256 m there we go. It just wasn't auto matching. I thought I wasn't doing it right. I don't have my Vim scripts on here. My Vim scripts will auto match and I see them matching as I type. I thought I was typing it wrong. Well, that'll fix that. And so now we're writing bigger files, and let's go ahead and run this now. So create some files. See what kind of IOPS we can get out of here and some of the different writes. About 27,000 right now. Granted, I built this ZFS array as one ZFS array. What's it? Let it start looking while it builds these files out. 1.5 gigs. This is not set up to be the fastest setup. Sub 200 firewall for small business. Not SG 1100 will work. So I don't know. I would spend. I mean, SG 1100 is going to be a workable solution, but probably not the best solution. Why is this not running on a TrueNAS? That's because we want to try something different. We're going to be working with 45 drives and showing their solution. We're going to be diving into, with them, Ceph and reviewing it. And this is one of the options. It'll probably, we'll load different things on it, but this is going to be some of the different use cases when we're testing this out. So performance is not going to be too bad. I mean, these are still spinning Rust drives, so you can only get so good on them. But where's the IOPS at? Somewhere in here. Right, IOPS 28,000 for just being a array of 30 drives. It's not bad. We should probably tear these down and put them in a more efficient manner. This is not the most efficient I/O setup. 45 drives is the enclosure. The operating system is CentOS, but going to be Ubuntu when I review. Right now for this demo, we're running CentOS. We're going to be loading Ubuntu and reconfiguring it with Ubuntu. This will probably be a production/lab machine. So, hey, random read rate, we're at 4 gigs a second. That's not bad. 45 drives is better than NetApp, not just cheaper. Cheaper and better. I like both. So we'll be doing a lot of different testing within. So it's essentially, yeah, straight Ubuntu. There's nothing overly special. Though the only special that they add is this. So if we go here and we look at the hardware, this is the module that they add, and this is really cool. Now, it's not updated yet. This is my unit to keep. So they have the interactive motherboard. They won't have, before I do the demo, it will be loaded with a whole interactive overlay of the drive bays. So I'll have all the drive bays in interactive loading as well. So that's going to be really cool for how we do it. It's going to be neat when we're done. It's going to have this whole interactive board, then another page for interactive drives so you can see all the drives on there. So this is all really sick. Now, by the way, 45 drives, GitHub. Was it under tools? There you go. Anyone who wants to download this, it's on GitHub. You can add this to your own. So, and they are writing updated guides on this. I've set it up on Linux running Debian. So it works on Debian as NFS, Samba, and ZFS that you can set up in here. So it's definitely, it's as easy. This is the install. 2 lines, done. It's pretty slick. So this is something you can, if you want to load Cockpit yourself on a server, go ahead. So pretty neat. All right, too many windows open. All right. Yes, more stuff to play with. Dedupe, compression, application aware. I don't know. I would say it would be hard. We'd have to see a showdown really between like TrueNAS and NetApp to see who, who's the best one in terms of that. I don't know that IBM really destroyed the Cockpit project, and I bring that up because I don't think it's attached to Red Hat at all anymore, and I don't think it's, man, I think originally Red Hat sponsored it, but there's not even a reference. Okay, it is still sponsored. It's down, they've been down here at the bottom. And by the way, it works fine on Debian and Ubuntu, so yeah. Let's see. Any made 45 drives versus Open Media Vault? 45 drives is not a software company. Open Media Vault is a software project, not a hardware project. So some people like Open Media Vault. I don't use it, so I don't have a use case for it, is what I should say. It's not, I don't have anything against it, I just don't use it. And to my knowledge, Open Media Vault, although someone always tells me I'm wrong, Open Media Vault ZFS. ZFS is a plugin on Open Media Vault from 2015, but it is not natively supported that I can find when you're setting it up. That's one of the reasons I don't. I'm a big ZFS fan. I was accused a couple times of being in a ZFS cult. It works. That's why I use ZFS. So Debian Linux, to my knowledge, I don't see anything about ZFS in here in the features. If it had ZFS, I'd be more interested. To my knowledge, it doesn't. So features. There we go. Based on Debian, web-based, volume management. Hey, look. EXT, ext4, XFS, and JFS. And software rate. Yeah. Yes, cult of ZFS. That's been a new comment people are making. It works. And I deal a lot with ZFS, so it's familiar territory with me. Who wants to watch me crash a Synology? So here's those tests we were just running. Where were they? Let me close some of these things. I don't need all these open anymore. So here's those tests. And the CPU, for that level of speed, definitely does not hit the CPU near as hard. So if we look at this, there's a little bit of memory usage here, a little bit of CPU usage. What we've learned about Synology, and there's a lot of people who complain about this, and the Synology, which this is running on right now, let's go ahead and stop it. So I want a snapshot of this because stuff goes wrong. Actually, I wonder if does these VMs still work? Yeah, this one's running nice, Cuzzy. Got a snapshot? Cool. Boot it up. This is actually running on then. This is running on this. Did it die? Looks like it died again. I've had some problems with Synology. It doesn't like speed tests very much. It definitely, yeah, I think this VM's garbaged now. See if the snapshot works. See if we can revert back to this. I think this is a working snapshot. Let's find out. See if this boots or it's corrupted. We'll show you how to break it again too. Because why not break things? I like breaking things so you don't have to break things. Hold on. I did see the out of memory error, but it should be fine. We'll put it to one gig. I seen the error, but there we go, 1 gig. Well, don't worry. I'm going to get to the part where we break the Synology. This is something else I was testing because I forgot we had to lower the memory because the server that it's running on, the host is not particularly amazing. The host only has 16 gigs of RAM, so No route to host. I was still thinking. All right, now it's working. Or not. Let's try shutting it down. Will it shut down? I agree, I'm seeing it running out of memory. I just can't figure out why. Let's try 2 gigs. How much does this VM need? Is it happy with 2 gigs? 2 gigs made it happy. We'll delete this snapshot, because we want a snapshot that has enough RAM. This one seems to work. I'll shut it down and snapshot it, just in case we break it again. I want a clean state. All right, now I can boot it back up. I agree. I completely agree with you, David. It should work fine in 5.12. It was the other day, so, but I've played with this lab a lot and I need to erase it all and start over. I do that a lot, by the way. If you wonder how you get good at rebuilding these things, is you destroy them over and over again. And you destroy them to the point where you have to rebuild the server. So then you get good at reloading the server each time as well. It takes lots of practice to break things as good as I break them. This is how I solve people's problems. I have created more problems than most people will create by doing the things I do at my labs. I gotta spell SSH right today. There we go. Speed test iSCSI. See, we got the same thing here. Yeah, just read and write. 15 seconds. This is enough to break it. I just fresh install some of the OSs. Yes. Yes, I may skew the benchmarks, but this isn't a benchmark because you're right, the snapshot will skew it. My problem is specifically this problem with the Synology. So the Synology, here we have the disk, the volumes. Does this have a cache in it? We should probably put a cache in it. Actually, let me look at where the iSCSI is stored. Make sure I have it still on the right one. Target, connected. Okay, it's running on 4 SSDs right now. So if we go to the storage manager, this is a RAID 10, and these are 4 SSDs in here. The cache is not in use right now. So the Synology is, oops, control panel. This is the DS1621XS Plus with an Intel Xeon D1527. I've reviewed this one. This has a 10 gig connection on it and everything else. So this is not a bottom of the barrel machine. This is, what does this system cost? I think these go for about $1,600 with no drives in it. So this is not the cheapest Synology. This is a decent Synology with DDR4. So go back over here, go back over here. We see it all happy. And now we're about to see it get really unhappy. So let's figure out a way to present this. We'll put this up here. Watch our resource monitor. So CPU chilling out, not doing nothing. There's nothing really going on in this system here. We're about to kill it. Now, once you start running this, we're about to see the CPU. Just the laying out of the files here alone is going to start loading up the CPU. These are some of the problems we've had when I was doing the demo, and it's creeping up. Oh, my head's kind of in the way. Let me move it. It's creeping up. We can go around here. Disk activity's creeping up. Here's some of this. And we're only hitting 140, but yeah, the CPU time, we're seeing some decent speed on it. CPU's ramping up. And we're still not quite running the test yet. There we go. Now we got the, look how it slowed down that much just to create that. So now if we go over here to XCPNG, it actually is getting some decent stats. So if we go over here to the disk that it's on, it's not terrible. About 140, 139 megs a second, 120. It's not god awful, but yeah, it's not an internal I/O related to the SSDs themselves. That is what I thought as well. So let's actually do this. Let's add some caching to this. So if we go to the storage manager, SSD cache. So these are two NVMEs. We're going to set them up in a pair. So read write cache NVMe. We'll attach them to volume 2. No, I gotta hold on. I gotta shut down the virtual machines running. Yes, the I/O wait time goes through the roof on this. That's what gets crazy. It's actually I/O wait time, not CPU. That is a correct way to state it, David. So we'll shut that down, and we'll go back over here. Go back to the create, read write. Next. Whoops, back. Volume 2 is the one where our iSCSI's on. Raid mirror, apply. I understand. You understand, in case you wanted to read that or pause the screen, it says you understand that you can't just remove these once you've added them. And we'll actually go ahead and shut it down here. So this is powered off. That way there's no I/O activity for it to sort out while we wait for it to mount. The SSDs are crucial, kind of generic ones. I know they're not super high performance. Come on. It's a thinking. I think with APs, you don't want any more. I don't know. The cloud key tells you how many devices. Uh, 50 devices. No more than 50 devices. Not APs, devices. I don't even know. 50 is kind of a lot. But it's on their site. So right here. So 40 APs, 1 USG, and 10 switches. Healthy. All right, let's fire this up. Run that test again. I've never used the UniFi plug. I don't really have an interest in it. Looks novel. Let's see if that helps a little bit. Hey, look, the cache has hit 95%. 100%. All right. See how ramped up it is with the NVMEs. You need an NVMe cache if you really want to make a difference in pfSense. So kind of the same results. You still have a decent amount of I/O wait time on it. And if we compare it to, I don't need that open. Yeah, 30,000. So we got faster than it was before. Definitely a faster I/O, but yeah, it's still. And if we want to actually crash it, so I think we could probably do it for 45 seconds each. Whoops. That'll actually load it up. And then on top of that, let's go to our virtual machine manager. I have that same tool running on a virtual machine. Oh, right away you can see what's happening. The Synology's gone into pause mode. Power on, maybe. Maybe. Maybe eventually. There we go, running. We'll connect to it. This is still running up here. We'll run it on here too. And now the Synology is just going to go to nowhere land, trying to run I/O. Yeah, what we've run into when we were testing it is it doesn't handle them gracefully. The system just starts really getting I/O wait time that's really high. We have a similar TrueNAS system that's not exhibiting the same issues. That's what we found really interesting. It's not exactly, and I need to do a more exacting test, but the short answer is we get better performance. Granted, there's a couple more drives in it, but no NVMe cache. This system running a Intel Atom is able to outperform the Synology is what we keep running into. So they are different SSDs. The, hold on, let me find out which model SSDs we have. That's what I need to do is I need to pull the drives out of one and put them in another, and then it's a future test. It just takes so much time to do this. Orders. These are the SSDs that are in there. So according, there's SATA 6. What is the write speed on them? Hopefully it says sequential write of 500 megs. Let's go. This is the SSDs that I'm using in there. If we look at the SSDs in here, storage, disks. These, only have, where's their specifications? These only do 260. These write slower. So that is interesting to me. These have a same read roughly, but a slower write, a lot slower. So that might be, I don't know. Like I said, I need to actually test the same exact drives to get this. And that's on my to-do list, is to build a test bed with the same drives, try them here, do the run, try them in the other one, do the run. But the Synology gets just crazy I/O wait times when you're running any of these tests. That's what we've really run into on there, is it just really peaks out in waits. So it's been fun testing all of it. Overall, I do think they do a decent job of running some of the VMs. I want to do a video on this because this does work, being able to run the VMs inside of here. I haven't done any videos on that, but it's still a good box overall. I like the Synology. It's kind of a good go-to everything box, but the I/O wait time is a little bit. It was a little bit annoying. It seems to peter out on performance, but I got to really do a direct comparison, like David said it. That's why I haven't released a video on it, because I want to be very exacting. I don't want to say it's worse. I do know that unless you're trying the exact same drives in two different boxes, it's not ideal. It's not going to be an exact comparison. But the Synology itself is still a solution we really like deploying for business because of things like active backup and everything else. So Synology, in terms of all the different things it can do, we love it. Like, that part I'm not complaining about at all. I do like the way the cache works too, because it's dynamic. I can actually remove it right now too. I have to turn off the virtual machines, but I have to shut a few things down, but it's dynamic. You can take it, have it on, have it off, etc. I'm overall real happy with the way it works. Yes. Running out of the, with the BX500 and how the cache works, that's an important thing. Weird. YouTube's giving me a weird bitrate error. Tell me if the video cuts out. The good news is, though, we have unplugged this quite a few times, and it's that part hasn't done it. As far as the only problems I've really complained about is just the high I/O usage on it. So. I don't feel like loading Exponology on something. I'm less interested in building that. But I don't know. More testing definitely needed. I'm also, I wish Synology, and if I'm not mistaken, and I'll look this up real quick. I know QNAP is moving over to ZFS. And it makes me wonder, I haven't used QNAP that much. I always hear mixed on them, but I thought it was interesting. QNAP is offering ZFS systems now. So I wonder if Synology will ever abandon using what they use and moving over to QNAP, using ZFS like QNAP has. So. So David says that the SLC cache on those drives might be where the issue is. And I believe David may be right. So what I want to do, and like David pointed out, I'll take these drives, test them in Synology, take the drives out, put them in the same type of configuration in a similar spec TrueNAS machine, load TrueNAS and ZFS on there, do the same tests, and see what happens. That's the only way I'll really get to know whether or not it works properly. But those are all fun tests. Storage testing takes so much time is the only downside. It's just, there's a lot of tediousness in doing it. That's for sure. Mostly what aggravated me, though, was the getting Phoronix to work properly on it. I kept having some issues getting Phoronix to work because it kept seeing too much variation on the Synology, and it kept failing some of the tests I was trying to run. But that's could be something I was doing wrong. Once again, haven't done a video on that because, yes. So, yes, that's a really important thing that you brought up. Whenever you're doing tests, especially, and this goes both for Synology. If you go to control panel, whenever you're dealing with the NFS shares, where's it at in here? Is it where you set the share up? I do less Synology, I do more TrueNAS. My staff knows these, but yes, it's the enable asynchronous is where it is in here. And then inside of TrueNAS, I know right where it is in there, sync disabled. So you either allow asynchronous is how they word it in Synology, and it's sync disabled in here. So I don't use Phoronix for testing workstations because I never really test workstations. We don't really review workstations. There is one gotcha with ZFS, RAM as ZIL. You run out of memory. Nah, maybe that depends. After loading 26 VLANs on pfSense, it gets slow. Not sure. We're usually, like, when we have the larger deployments with lots of VLANs, those are usually with like XG 7100s and other or higher, so that's not really an issue. My guess, something with the hardware is not up to handling it. We have some apartment complexes that create a VLAN for every single apartment. It's usually like they get the whole buildings, and they'll build a VLAN for every one. So if there's 26 units in the apartment, there'll be 26 VLANs. That's usually when we see those. Someone asked me if I'm running the release candidate of pfSense. Only in our lab. We're about to load it at home now that it's in release candidate, but this is 2.45 RC. So it is getting closer to release. I'd say release candidate's pretty good. There's really not much left in here. VLAN does share the same link speed, but then again, if you're only getting, let's say, a 500 meg internet connection for an apartment for people to share, then yeah, that's all they get. And then you limit it down. You can get away with that. They're just not going to all watch Netflix at the same time. I don't know why you would need 26 VLANs for a school. That sounds confusing. Sounds like an odd situation. Am I going to make an opinion video on the changes in pfSense? I don't know. They've made announcements but haven't made the changes, so it's a speculative video at that point. Do I wish the entire thing from every piece was open source? Sure. Do I have anything more to say about it? No. They throw it out in the world. Their responses are going to be based on, I kind of get where they're going with it. They're adding some closed source components to an open source project. There's going to be the open source project, and there's going to be some of the closed source components that come on there. I don't know. I kind of wish they'd leave it all open source. It's not my decision to make. They've had such a good security track record compared to other companies. It's not like I want to abandon a project. So yeah, it's just it's not something that until they've actually put something more than an announcement out that I have a strong opinion. I don't like wasting my time speculating on what a company might do. This is as dumb as all the people drove me nuts about pfSense and the when they were going to require AES-NI. They said in an announcement, maybe in the next few years we'll require AES-NI, and everyone got mad and lost their minds. And I, of course, made video about it because back then I didn't, I thought this was a big deal. And of course, that video was popular. But it's funny because when they changed their mind later and go, no, we're not going to require AES-NI, everyone still kept hating them for suggesting that in the next few years, they would release a version that would have that as a requirement. And it's speculative of a change that didn't happen. So I'm going to wait and see what happens because that's, to me, the most logical response. It's a solid firewall. It works really, really well. It's been great track record on security and has all the features we like for a lot of our projects. But it also doesn't have any of the features I need in terms of filtering. That's one of the reasons we keep recommending Untangle to people. So it's not the only firewall we use. It's not the end of the world. And by the way, Untangle is the same thing. They have an open source project with some proprietary components in it. That happens with a lot of companies. So and the only thing that video will do is end up with a lot of comments of people arguing, because that's all that I don't know anything productive will come out of it. That's what Reddit's for. Go argue on Reddit, because that's where they're arguing now. You may join in with the arguing people on Reddit. It doesn't feel productive or insightful. So yeah. Yeah, AES-NI, people made a big deal about that one. And my comment, my even take on it back then was like, AES-NI, at the time they announced it, had been out for 6 years. So 6-year-old hardware was available on the market that had it. So you could buy used equipment that had it, and now it's built in everything. But it's also become less relevant because the way some of the new security works, it's less of an issue in certain circumstances. So, but I do like the new pfSense. It looks nice. It's got a nice interface on it. I will be doing my new videos. Now that it's in release candidate, I might do a couple of videos because I know this is the one everybody wants, is getting the WireGuard set up. This will be a lot of fun. I'm excited about the WireGuard. We actually have a project we're going to set up at all of our, my staff are all running pfSense. So we're going to load all our pfSense systems with the release candidate so we can test out WireGuard between all of our houses and play games or something. So that is on the kind of to-do list to do some testing. When's the 45 drives video? That's going to happen within the next week or so. So that's the 45 drive is going to take a little bit to review. I'm waiting on some updates, and it'll be done with Ubuntu, not CentOS. So CentOS is what it's testing with right now for me playing around with it. But it's going to end up with Ubuntu on it way before I do the review. And that's what the review will be based on. Because you can't mention CentOS in a review video without 20 people leaving links and comments. Did you hear what IBM did? Yes, I'm aware. I do not want to spy on the staff at home. Can you advertise BGP? Can you use BGP to advertise over WireGuard tunnel? I don't see why not. I don't really. I mean, the way the tunnels work in WireGuard, I do whatever you want, so to speak. So I don't use Splunk. Just not my thing. I don't plan on learning it. Oh, that's cool. Neat. I didn't know you could change the theme on that. Can you zoom it in? You can't zoom it in, though. No, there's no zoom. I guess that's kind of a zoom. It doesn't like my, doesn't like that, though. Is there any changes to WAN failover or load balance? I don't know. Maybe. I imagine it's the same. It's been the same for a while. I don't think that was any of the... I got to look to see if they changed that. So, routing, gateway groups. It looks much the same. Yeah, this interface doesn't look much different. Yep, I don't see anything special about this. So I'm going to say it's the same. I think there's some new packages in here. One of them I've seen. Matter of fact, I have it installed. I have not played with it at all. They put Zeek in here. Open source traffic ladders. I have not played with Zeek inside of pfSense, but that's going to be something new that you'll be able to parse services. I tried getting it to work, and I think it didn't work right. So it's going to take some playing to figure that one out. But that's a new one they added. I don't know what else is new in the package manager. All the other ones are here. And I know there was a PF blocker. They've been doing some updates to make sure it works fine with this. I've seen some announcements that there's some updates to specifically address concerns or issues that came up in the version in the pfSense 2.5 release. Errata still in there. 505, Syslog, Telegraph, Zabbix is still in there. Squid, for people who like that. I'm not a Squid user. I don't plan to be. But they have it for people who are. What else is in here? Free Radius, Darkstat. Yeah, all the same ones. The only thing new I seen was the Zeek one. So... but it's looking good. It's getting close. Getting close. That's what matters. Vios. So Vios is pretty cool. They actually reached out to me. They wanted me to do some videos, but I don't use it enough. And Vios is one of those things that, as cool as it is, if you don't use it all the time, you're not going to get good at it. And because I'm not using it, I'm not going to get good at it, therefore I'll probably not do a video in it. So, yeah, it's definitely cool though. It's got some use cases, but it's all command line driven. Build some cool stuff though. Hey, thank you, William. CLI is a good interface for a lot of things. It kind of comes down to how you're using it. So, but thank you very much for the donation, William Daughtery. I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, it comes down to what you want to learn. Do you want to manage your firewall with that? When you're dealing with like scaled enterprise level, and I've talked to some people that run this, they deal with some very large systems across like a data center, and they have all this. They're using Vios. I forget what hardware they were using on the behind the scenes, but I mean, yeah, it makes sense for what they're doing. I get it. And it's probably the best way for them to manage it. For the average person managing things or just wanting to manage like as an MSP, if your firewall is not your full-time gig, is it worth the time to learn it? A little fuzzy on that. Honestly, we don't spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time sitting on pfSense because we do consulting work, but once it's installed, it's kind of a let it run, let it do its thing, and you don't have to do a lot else. Router OS, yeah. Someone says WireGuard plus Bird BGP works good. Well, that's good. Ubiquity, the Ubiquity firewalls are still bad. Ubiquity access points, still good. We are still installing, setting up, and configuring Ubiquity access points and switches because they just work. They work quite well. That is not the case with the other. Not the case with their firewalls, though. Their firewalls are still bad. You can use a Cisco firewall with a UniFi AP. Yes, the edge routers are a base of Vios, and they've kind of parted ways. So that can be an aggravation in setting them up. So how good are the layer? Don't even waste your time with the layer 3 switching in UniFi. Layer 3 switching in UniFi made somebody in marketing happy because they could check the box. I wouldn't waste my time with it. I would not use the layer 3 function in a UniFi switch. UniFi Nightmare Machine. There you go. And it comes down to the use case. So the switches, like someone was trying to compare them to, some other high-end switch model. The question comes down to, yes, the higher-end switch model will have more features. Do you need those features? Well, if you do, don't buy Ubiquity. It's kind of a simple solution or a simple answer to the problem. If you don't need the advanced features and you have no plan to ever use some advanced feature that another brand offers, well, then then why buy it? If you were going to use those advanced features, don't compare it to Ubiquity because Ubiquity doesn't have some of the advanced features. You look at the way switch stacking works or some of the failover options, or you compare it to some certain high-end Cisco systems. Yeah, Cisco's going to have more features in it than you can get on Ubiquity. You can't just drop them in and compare them to each other when you're talking about the higher-end models. But yeah, it's everything, and that's what people have a really hard time with. Everything comes down to use case. It depends, and everyone hates that answer. Yes, if you need VLANs and have a dashboard that integrates with your access points, Ubiquity it's simple, it works, it gets the job done. If you're trying to do some of the advanced integrations, good luck. It's not like you answer the same question. I mean, if you were trying to say, I have things I have to move with a truck, which truck do you buy? And when I say truck, do you mean like a semi-truck, a very large, what do they call them in England, lorries? The very large delivery trucks? Or do you mean a dually pickup truck? Or do you mean a consumer, more average two-wheel drive pickup truck? It depends. How big is the load you have to move? It's not like there's just one answer. Android VoIP client. I am still using Zoiper. I don't use it very often, but I do have Zoiper on my phone. It works. I don't have any complaints about it. Your UniFi Nano HD only delivers 300. I don't know how fast you have the channel width set. Channel width makes a big difference, and perfect conditions to get the perfect connection. And of course, like David just pointed out, which band are you connected to? Does your device support it? One of the problems a lot of people have run into, and I think Chris from Crosstalk kind of joked about this on his Twitter and in one of his videos. It wasn't just a matter of getting the faster access point. The hard part was testing the faster access point, finding a device that supported the full speed of the access point. And let's see, I thought I had it in the drawer here. I got kicking around here one of those higher end USB 3. Who makes that one? We call it the face hugger. So now I have forgotten its name, but it's one of the really high end with the 3 antenna. I think it's got an Atheros chip in it, but there's specific ones we bought just to do the testing. Just so we could get things fast enough in order to do the testing, because the laptops I had didn't support it. So there's always trickiness with that. Thank you, Grayson. No, don't get... I don't even know if I'd really recommend layer 3 and an edge switch. I don't know how good the performance is on it. I think the question someone wanted answered here is ciphers that use AE. You'd have to look up which ones do. So it comes down to the certain instruction sets. So if you look up the instruction sets, you can probably find which ciphers use it and which ones have it, et cetera, et cetera. And thank you once again. If I didn't say it, Grayson, thank you for the donation. Just making sure I caught up with everyone. Yeah, and Mac Telecom Networks, like he said, I have a Wi-Fi 6 in my computer, and it does not work well with the iPhone. With the chipset, works better. It's a problem. It's anytime you want speed, hardwire the damn thing. That's all I gotta say. Do I think they should come with 2.5 gig? Maybe. Yeah. Lots of fun. What else are we going to talk about? It's coming up on 2 hours. Anything more for the good of the class? Anything more I should do with this 45 drives thing before? Look at the pretty hardware on it. DDR4. How much RAM is in this thing? Oh, wow. Quite a bit. Plenty of memory. Oh, actually, you know what? It does have, you can go the IPMI route too. Didn't really look at this much. Oh, cool. Got all the details in here. CPU they ship this with. Oh, Xeon Silver 4210. Windows storage space. Yeah, I just got to start pulling drives out of it. That'll be a fun test too, right? Let's tie Active Directory to our IPMI. What could go wrong? Fan modes, cool. Optimal speed. Oh, I should have AIO. Okay. Does it have? I think it's got it in here. One of these. Under storage, maybe. Yeah, the disks aren't warm at all. Yeah, the fans are actually, it cools them quite well. What could go wrong? Just tie everything to Active Directory, have someone get on your network with Mimikatz and log into all the things. That seems like a fun thing, right? Is it necessary to use ECC memory for TUNAS? It is not required. Yeah, it is not required to use that. Oh, someone said, where'd this come from? 45 Drive sent this to me and branded and logoed it. So for those of you that don't know what it looks like. That's what it looks like. I'll get my head out of the way. So look at that. It's nice looking. We like it. That's their printing and everything is just top notch on that. How much would that server cost? Here's a cool thing. Build. We have, we gotta find some, guess we gotta fill a few things out. Next. $42.16. Next. 14, quantity 30. We do have a 2 of these in there. I'll do the configuration. So we'll say not configured. So we're talking hardware, about 20K. As it was shipped to me, it doesn't have 10 gig. I have 10 gigs to put in, so they didn't ship me one. I have my own 10 gigs. I'm working on getting to Linus level fame, so yeah. Hey, congratulations on starting your IT company in New Zealand. I don't know much about New Zealand. Looks like a nice place. Looks pretty there. But yes, this server is about 20K. It right now does not have any 10 gig cards in it. I just didn't put them in yet. It's all the things that are happening. I might even put faster than 10 gig cards in there. It's on my to-do list. Coming soon. I would not use. TrueNAS is not a good virtualization server. TrueNAS is a good storage server. Now that may change with TrueNAS Scale, and I am always confused by this. I can't do a video. We'll pull up the download page. The number of comments that I get about TrueNAS Scale is funny because I keep telling people it's in alpha. It's not even in beta, it's in alpha. And people keep going, well, are you running it in production yet? And I'm like, why would I run it in production? It's alpha. You can even see it. I think they got the release notes here. Yeah. It's alpha angelfish is where it's at right now. And it's not ready. But when it does get ready, they were probably going to do a better job because of the Docker integration, and it's going to have Linux containers in it. So that's going to be interesting. I understand why people are excited about it, but I think it's weird that people are asking me to dive in and review it. Not an alpha stage. Beta, maybe. Alpha, I don't know. XCPNG in a cloud server. There are several companies that have partnered with to do this. So yes, there's numerous companies that do support it. And this is back from 2018. They have a lot of partners now that are doing this. So if you wanted to have a cloud version, to me, that seems, if like, I wouldn't use a random cloud provider for this. You want a cloud provider that you know supports it. That is probably where you would want to go. So you can do it. Now, more ideally, you would probably want to look at doing it in a colo, for example. I think it'd be great for that. So if you want to build your own rack and stack in a colo, then it makes kind of sense rather than trying to bolt it onto someone else's hardware. It may work. I don't know. It's neat, but yeah. The cool thing is, though, they do have hybrid cloud solutions for full cloud, hybrid cloud, etc. So they do have ways to do it. Matter of fact, one of the neat things that they offer now is some of the VXLAN. So you can have the hybrid system where you have private networks between VMs and they don't have to be physically in the same location. So there's some really cool stuff you can do with it, but it's not like just any cloud provider is going to be 100% compatible. It's going to depend on the cloud provider. So if you're running your own stack, I think it's great. If you're co-loing it in a data center or you have your own data center, I think it's great. It's going to be challenging if you want to do it in other ways. They have a list of companies that they've got partnerships with that have specific support. Let's see. Should I wait for UniFi 6? It's up to you. I'm not excited about it. Which drives people nuts because they think I should be super excited about it, but I don't care about Wi-Fi speed. It's not like that's where my problems ever are. Looking at Headstart with one of the auction servers. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not hosting it in cloud. We have our own stack, but we're not hosting our clients. We have some of our clients with this in their own server, virtualizing their own servers, but we're not really a hosting company, so we're not hosting it. Although I should admit, I don't know when this is going to get fixed. This is a very recent bug. Is it here? No, wait, not that one. This bug. Let me see what the status is on it. There's a workaround. This is a bug that if you try to add iSCSI, just so you know, if you this is a recent problem. If you were running iSCSI, it doesn't affect any of your running ones, but when you try to create new iSCSIs, you'll get a weird error in Zen Orchestra. You can use the command line console to attach iSCSIs, but just so you know, since we're on the topic, that yes, that bug is in the process of being fixed. And if Proxmox is fine too. So Proxmox, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't use it. My friend likes it. Two of my friends like it specifically. Craft Computing has some Proxmox videos, and Jay has some Proxmox videos. Jay from Learn Linux TV. Email is either G Suite or Office 365, depending on the customer. That's our go-to. We don't mess around with any other email servers. Not worth our time. So, yeah, it's easy workaround, and I have it. If I can, I think I can drop this link for those curious about this. The workaround is just do it from the command line. No big deal. All it does is give you an error and it won't attach. There's some logic bug that got introduced. I think, let me bring up Jay from Learn Linux TV, if you go to his, I probably got to go to his YouTube channel. There you go. If you go to Learn Linux TV, type in Proxmox, Jay has all the Proxmox videos you could ever ask for. Hey, good job on getting Graylog installed. The use case for Proxmox is because you like it as a hypervisor. So what firewall UTMs? I've been doing some untangles. Over the years, I've done some of everything. Yes, QA is being done. It's weird bug, and I don't. Normally they fix bugs immediately. This one's persisted over a couple weeks, and it's weird. So I don't know. Yep, Craft Computing has Proxmox feed. That's why I don't bother doing them. I don't use it. So because he does use it, he's got videos on it. So I don't feel the need to do a video on it because they do and they use it. I always tell people, use what makes you happy. There's not always a one right answer for everything, and that's what people always that's what always people are looking for, the right answer. I don't know. I have not used enough pfSense WireGuard to really do much on it. I might do some videos now that it's in release candidate and try setting it up. So, but I don't really know. I haven't used it much other than I did the demo and I did a demo video. I didn't dive deep into WireGuard on pfSense yet. See, the problem with virtualization is, that's right, dark. I should put this to dark mode, right? Where is dark mode? There we go. Oh, Chris got a Starlink. Cool. I didn't even see if it's available in my area. The one thing I've had a few people that moved away from Proxmox, and they were doing things at larger scale, and they found XCP-ng to work better at it on the same hardware. That was their testing, not mine. So I don't know. Like I would have to really sit down, build a lab, load Proxmox, run something on it, such as what do you call it? All the benchmarking tools from Phoronix, build an entire Phoronix test suite, run all the tests, rebuild that same hardware again with a different hypervisor, run all the same tests again, and see which one performs best. Oh, I didn't know Chris was live streaming at the same time. That's funny. Oh, Phoronix, P-H-O-R-O-N. Someone may have already done this. They did it in 2019. There's been so many changes that this is probably not. See if there's even anything relevant in here. Do they have test results so you can jump on? There we go. Huh. Patchy benchmarks. This is interesting, though. I mean, Just looking at, and I'm not reading all of this, obviously. I'm learning it as much as you are. Look how close they all are. Look how close they all are. And again, and again. Memory performance, memory floating, they're still... what I'm shocked is even the bare metal's not exceedingly fast here. So which one? The shades of green are really hard. So it's the Zen is low, bare metal. What's the second one in? So KVM did better with some of these tests. Cache bandwidth, and this is done a few years ago, and I don't, like I said. But they're not. This is not telling me that there's absolutely a night and day difference. There's probably certain things like this particular. Apparently, SQLite made a difference, and oh, actually, is lower better? Because it's how fast it did it. So I think lower is better on that one. Yeah, because bare metal's the fastest, so lower is better on that one. Proxmox is not as good as SQLite. You can see that this is challenging. Proxmox doesn't scale as well as Zen. That's my understanding. Is there anything else to add to this? This was done 3 years ago by a few people. So it's obviously, it's a test to be done again, I guess, but it's also a lot of work. Someone would almost have to sponsor me for my time to throw at it to do this. I mean, a lot of people want to know the answer, but the answer is also moving target. I have to get them all at that time at that version. But if 6 months later the test is irrelevant because someone's like, oh, one of the companies retooled and the new modern version as they released their update gave them X amount of speed boost allegedly. So now I have to rerun that test again, and it's, if I had to, maybe that's what I need to do is just buy a duplicate box so I can do that. So I've seen some decent sized Proxmox systems. I guess you can call them enterprise. I don't know. If I'm not mistaken, Proxmox even offers some more support. Don't they have a purchase support? They have resellers, training programs, training partners, hosting partners. Yeah, maybe that's, well, I can also, it's probably worth noting, as I have, what's that place called? Tech Supply Direct. They reach out to me from time to time, and maybe I should do that. Reach out to Tech Supply Direct and build 2 identical machines from them that are relatively, well, not relatively, identical machines, get 2 of them, and load one with Proxmox and one with this, and then pass the VMs back and forth and see which one performs better. That might be a fun video. And because people ask that question so often, and this video has plenty of hate, I did a video called The Challenges with WireGuard. Why not WireGuard? That's my answer for WireGuard versus everything else. And there's plenty of people that hate me for it. I mean, you can host on Proxmox. Jay from Learn Linux TV has been running all of his stuff on it for several years too. He seems happy. I know I've been running all my stuff on XCP-ng for several years, and I'm happy. So both of them work. I can turn this off too. I don't need this on anymore. So nonetheless, that is the all I've got to say today. I think I'm running out of things to say. Anything else before I take off? Because there are other things I'm going to go do. It's 7 o'clock. I've been doing this for a few hours. I'm all out of tea. Anything else for the good of the class? Any last minute errata we need to toss around? Oh, what hardware on the Dell test server? I think this is a Dell Optiplex. One of these. That's actually what it's running on. So it's not a good lab server. It's just what I had laying around. Yeah, nothing's finished. The rack is built at home, but I didn't really do much. Kevin just keeps asking the same question over and over again. I'm not sure why. I answered it earlier, but I'll just mute Kevin for asking the same question over and over again. We usually buy them from Netgate. That's my motherboard I use. Use whatever makes the most sense for your hypervisor is always good advice. Use what makes you happy and that you're familiar with. Oh, we have lots of RAM. I just have not gotten around to it. Is a Dell 720 XT still a good choice today? Maybe not. We use Graylog for people wondering. Graylog for logging. If that's what you're talking about. The beginning of this video was all about Graylog. XCPNG. That I don't know if you just joined, but that's what we were talking about. XCPNG is my preference over Proxmox. Yeah, I will probably do that thing. Maybe I will. That sounds like a fun project. Buy 2 identical servers and load it. I'll have Jay remote in and set it up and then help me with all the testing. We'll build some automation around it. Yeah, our 730, because the 740, I think that is the 740 the current generation from Dell? Yeah, 740 is current. 730 you should be able to find a pretty good deal on. You don't want to go too far behind. I mean, you can probably find where's the deal hunting? It's check out labgopher.com. So LabGopher is a good one to find it. Yeah, the 740's been around for a little while too, so you can probably find over on eBay. Even the 740s, I mean, they're so pricey, but here's an 8-base 740 with iDRAC 9 for $1,000. So yeah, there's the 740 XD for $2,400. And out of stock on there. But yeah, if you check out LabGopher, you can find them. So the 740s are coming down. The 730 is probably going to be a lot better, though, in pricing. So if we went for the... Yeah, price is a lot lower, but you can also type in Supermicro FreeNAS and get some really good deals on stuff. There's a lot of deals on Supermicro. They come on the used market for cheap with some decent drives. So if you're looking for stuff that's like FreeNAS or whatever, you know, FreeNAS Unraid, whatever one you want, here's 6-core, 48 gigs, $320. They're pretty reasonable sometimes. This one's got, what, how much storage? Has it got any drives in it? It's got the rails. Oh, here you go. Now, I like this design. It's got the one that pops up like this. I thought that was kind of cool. There you go. 6 gig, 2690. They got drives in it. I don't know, but you get the idea. You can hunt down some deals on here. Yeah, I don't know where they are in. Yeah, I'm not sure how much this is going to cost in Europe. I know there are big price differences because of shipping and things like that. Our 720 XD for 600. I guess it depends on where you're at. I mean, the R730 XD is in that same price range. It all depends on what it's outfitted with. Yes, so Europe has cheap electricity. Well, that can even it out. I don't know. I don't really know, though, for direct comparison about the cost of living in Europe overall. Because, you know, you can say things like electricity's cheaper, but if it costs more to live somewhere, there's a lot of variables when you talk about overall cost of living. And it's complicated and way out of scope of what I feel like talking about today. It's wildly different here in America. Most of your cost of living costs in America vary because of housing costs. Housing costs are wildly different in America. So yeah, I don't know. So many variables in that topic. Is there anything else before we get to the end of this day? I'm willing to go off topic. Any other off topic questions before I leave? Have I gone anywhere on my bike? It has been 8 degrees, so we are warmer today. It looks like we're at 20 degrees today. So it's been too cold for colder than I would like for motorcycling. Not saying you can't ride the motorcycle in this weather. I certainly have, but it's a little bit warmer. But last week it was down to like 10. It's 14, about 14 tonight. Yes, snow underground's fun for some bikes. It depends. I have my off-road vehicles are fun in the snow, but my street bikes are not. What's for dinner? I don't know. I think my wife has some leftovers. That's what's for dinner. Whatever she didn't eat, she had 14 degrees Fahrenheit. Not Celsius. Celsius 14 would be better. Oh. All right, well, I'm going to wind this down. Go. Yeah, Fortnite. I'm not playing Fortnite. I've been playing The Division again. I went back to that. I played a couple games, and The Division's the one I'm probably going to go back to playing tonight, because I like that one. Fun times, fun times. Well, thank you all for joining. Thank you for everyone who clicked the like button. It'd be great if more of you did, but hey, thank you for doing it. The Division 2, actually, I've been playing. What else? MDM management, open source or cloud? Probably not. I don't think that's on my to-do list. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Hit the like button and have a great evening.